you ever walked into Sephora and just felt like a lost puppy because you're looking for a foundation but you don't know what to get? Today, I'm going to simplify it for you in 4 easy steps, so stay tuned so you can pick out the perfect foundation for you. Let's talk foundations. Foundations are very confusing. You've got to sort through a few things. You need to figure out your skin type. So, are you dry? Are you normal? What does that mean? And we'll go into that. Or are you oily? The second thing you have to do is find your undertone. So the undertone of your skin typically is either cool, it's neutral, or it's warm. And we'll go into what those 3 things mean. The last thing you want to do is find the correct shade of foundation. And that will just depend on how deep or how fair your skin is. And then the very final step is to figure out what type of finish to a foundation you want. So do you want your skin to look matte and not have shine to it? Or do you want your skin to look dewy and have some radiance to it with the finish of your foundation? Step number 1, we need to figure out your skin type. I worked at Clinique. We had a lot of education on skin type. Basically, the range for skin type goes from very dry to very oily, and there's everything in between. A very dry skin, when you get out of the shower, when you're done washing your face, you're gonna feel like your skin is pulled tight without any moisturizer on it. You're going to feel like uncomfortable. You need to apply that extra hydration in order to have a comfortable feeling skin. Because basically with dry skin, you have no hydration coming from the base level of your dermis. Then it moves into kind of more of a combination skin, which is where I fall. You have oil through the center of their T-zone, but your cheeks do feel a little bit dry, so you combat that with a lighter hydration than you would for a very dry skin. And you move into the oily skin category, where you just feel like at the end of the day, your skin has produced a lot of oil on its own, and you need to use products that combat the extra oil pushing through to the surface of your skin so that you don't look shiny. So that is step number 1, figure out your skin type. Step number 2 is figure out the undertone of your skin. So for people that have a cooler skin tone, they have more pink in their skin. I don't have a lot of olive tones in my skin, so I fall on the cool spectrum. Things that are very orange, things that are very yellow don't mesh well with my skin. They pop more on my skin because I have a cool undertone. You also have the second category here, which is neutral. That means that you're kind of in the middle. You have a lot of cool tones, a lot of warm tones, and so either one of those colors look natural on you. That's a good way to tell. If you're wearing an eyeshadow or a blush or a bronzer that's got a lot of warmth or a lot of cool tones to it, and those colors look great on you either way you go, cool or warm, you're probably a neutral undertone. And then lastly, you have warm, so that's like if you have olive skin. They look really good when they are tan. These people, they don't burn that easily. And cool colors like pinks, purples, brighter shades of blue, things like that will really pop on their skin. So now you've got your skin type done and you've got your undertone done. Those are probably the 2 hardest. The next step is figuring out your shade. You always hear people talk about when you can tell there's a line here, people have their foundation on, but they look like they have the mask on because it doesn't blend with their neck. The shade you choose should be not too fair and not too deep. It's basically the shade of foundation that you're choosing really needs to be cohesive throughout your entire look from head, especially onto your chest. And then step number 4, which in my opinion is the funnest part because you can really do whatever you want, is choosing a finish for your foundation. So what I mean by that is you can choose to have a matte foundation, which means it's not going to have a lot of radiance to it. It's going to look particularly blurred and just not dry, but not a lot of dewiness coming through. It's more of a subdued finish on the face. It's really good for people who have oily skin, but if you do have dry skin, you can still use a matte product. Or do you want it to look more natural satin finish? That is where you're gonna have a little bit of the matte, but a little bit of a more dewy look too, combines to make a really natural skin look. Back to the skin types. a natural satin finish foundation will look like a person who just has balanced skin. Not too much oil, not too much dryness. And lastly is a dewy foundation, which will give you the radiance and the glow, especially for a drier skin type, so that your skin ends up looking just a lot more healthy because you may not have those natural oils coming through. So that is step number 4, find the finish of your foundation. For the demo today, I want to show you those different types of foundations and a little bit about how to match a coloring. So step 1, remember you have to figure out your skin type. That's something you can either go to Clinique. I honestly do recommend that because they do a great job of skin typing people. Or you can just kind of feel it out for yourself. Does your skin feel dry throughout the day? Do you feel oily? Do you see excess oil? Do you see dry patches? Step number 2 is find your undertone. That's something else I either recommend if you're still confused about it, go to Ulta, go to Sephora. I'll give you an example. So this, for instance, is just a contour palette. Disregard these 2 lighter shades, let's look at the darker ones. Now obviously these do not match my skin shade, but these will give you an idea of what I lean more towards. So when you're looking at these, there's a couple colors here that are warmer. That means they have more yellow in them, they have more red in them. So this color is a little bit warmer than this color is. This shade on me is gonna look more natural because I have a cooler undertone. If you do have a lot of yellow in your skin, you tan really well, this would be a shade you want to go for. It will blend easier on your skin. It's gonna look more natural. So that is an example of how to find the undertone of your skin. When you try these products that have different colors, what tends to look more blended on you and more natural. So step number 2, you've done that. Now step number 3, find your shade. Let's talk about that really quick. So I'm just going to show you a couple foundations. I keep different colors because throughout the year my skin tone changes and I have to adjust with that. I'm going to show you an example. So you want to test foundation from your chin that does not match my neck. Now if I take a lighter shade and blend that down, you can see that that is going to blend a lot easier on my skin than the darker shade. But it's still a little bit too light. If I'm gonna have to use bronzer, I'm gonna have to kind of warm my skin back up if I use that. A shade that will fit almost to a T. It's gonna be a shade right in the middle of those. I'll put it right here. You can't even see it compared to the other 2. That's what you're looking for. So that blends a lot easier on my skin. It's gonna look a lot better when I'm blending it all over my face because you have to imagine this color is going everywhere. That is gonna blend in a lot more seamlessly than the darker shade or the lighter shade. So that's a good test. Trying out 3 next to each other on your face, blending them down the side of your neck is honestly the best way to be able to tell what the shade you need is. As far as should you go fair or should you go deeper, I definitely recommend even if you're at the store, go outside with a little mirror or check it on your phone camera outside if you're testing foundations and you want to buy one, or just take a sample home so that you can test it in different lighting situations. Lastly, the finish of your foundation. So really quickly, I want to show you 2 different foundations. One side of my face, I'm going to do a matte foundation, and to do that, I'm going to be using the Marc Jacobs Remarkable Ivory Medium Foundation. So this actually may be a tiny bit dark on me, but for all intents and purposes, you'll see the finish. It's very heavy, you can see that right off the bat, and it doesn't have a whole lot of radiance to it. This is gonna be the matte side. A little side tip is typically foundations that are more matte tend to be more full coverage. So that's also something to keep in mind, is how much coverage you want out of a foundation. And the other side of my face, I'm going to use the BECCA AQUALUMINOUS Perfecting Foundation in the color Porcelain. Obviously the word luminous is in the title, so it's going to be a lot dewier. So we're going to take that and go over, see already, the difference in this cheek area. So there's the luminous side, which you can see just has a lot more shine to it, a lot more of a highlight versus the matte side. Whoa. Hi everyone, today I did a foundation. What the heck? Very oil infused. Today's video.